they see it. You know, people don't necessarily talk about architecture a whole lot, and we don't really have a lot of outstanding architecture to bring visitors to. And I know that this is one good one that is very unique. This and my grandfather's sister's building, which is next door, which is also an architectural building. So, I mean, I think that this is something that, you know, we would like Bacolod to be proud of also, because we have this in our city, and by a native son. It was all done by a native son.
So the legacy of the family is truly deep, rich, and beautiful in tradition. And speaking of family, can you tell us about your family? And are you all here in Bacolod? Did you move from New York to
My husband, my husband and I have moved here.
And how did you meet?
Well, that's really quite a boring story. I don't think anybody really wants to hear about that. We met when we were in college, and the rest is history. We're still together after 41 years. We were married. My father, Grace.
So you got married here in Bacolod. And I was told that you had a hippie wedding. Can you elaborate on that? What's a hippie wedding?
Oh God, now you're really dating me.
This is Chris Unlimited. So how did you?
Well, some people would say it was a hippie wedding, but I would say it was just a very simple wedding, especially for Bacolod standards. You know, we were married in my grandfather's farm, so something there, and by an American priest, Father Gratian, who we loved. We adored him. My husband is not a Catholic, but you know, we had a wonderful wedding by, you know, Father Gratian, who was really, really cool. And I think that, you know, Father Gratian is being nominated for sainthood. You know that? Yes. And everybody's saying, well, what does it mean? You know, well, that means that people have to start recording the miracles that, you know, have been witnessed by people through his intercession. And my husband is always saying, well, our marriage is his first miracle.
Yeah, but it is.
We were already
41 years.
So I think this is the first, I think we were the first wedding he officiated, I think, when he became priest. So, anyway, yeah, so we met, and I really did. My husband is from California, so we lived there most of our life. Our business is there.
And his name is Mr. Fred Charlie. So what does he do here in Bacolod?
Actually, as we speak, he is conducting an English seminar workshop at LaSalle.
I heard that it's about Korea teaching English. Koreans, like English is a second language.
No. He's teaching critical thinking in English.
Wow, that sounds deep. So what's I'll reserve that question.
That's right.
So I'm gonna ask you 3 more questions. What kept your marriage longer than the usual marriage that the usual couples would do?
Well, I don't know what a usual marriage is, because I only know mine. I only know my parents, and my parents were married for 3 years before my father died. No one has separated in my family, so I don't really...
So I guess it runs in the family.
I don't know. I think that, you know, 90% of it is luck. You know, I married to a foreigner, very different cultures, but somehow it worked.
So what was like culture like for you to share it, bringing up your son together?
Yes.
Like, was there any clash in the culture or in the tradition or the way of raising your child?
No. I guess the first thing I have to say about that is that I guess the reason that we got along is because we both appreciated each other's culture. We had a respect for each other's culture. So even though my husband did not know much about where I came from or my culture, when we first met, he was very curious and he was very open, and he liked what he saw and he liked what he discovered. And as a matter of fact, you know, my coming from a big family as opposed to this very, very small family, was for him a gift. You know, it was a gift that he entered into a much larger, you know, world in a sense. So it was luck. I mean, I always felt that I think the key to any relationship is friendship, first and foremost. If you're not friends to begin with, the rest is really hard to make it happen. But I think if you really have a true friendship, and you know, what do you mean by friendship? You're saying, oh, what do you mean by that? I mean, friendship meaning that you know that that person is really going to be there through thick or thin. Whether your marriage fails or if it's not going to work out for some reason, you know that you can still pick up the phone and say, hey, you know, I really need to talk or something.
So communication is very important.
Definitely. And communicating at the same level, you know. So yeah, so I say we were just lucky.
Lucky you, Tita.
Lucky and a lot of work. And a lot of work, of course. Like any other relationship. You know, you have to work. So yeah, work out.
So one more, okay, I got two more questions for you. What was it like for you? Was it a big change, a big shift coming from New York to be settling here finally for the rest of your life? Was it a big shift on your part?
Well, you know, nothing is for the rest of to begin with. I still have a place in New York. New York is still a home in many ways. New York is where I always wanted to be, and then I got there, and then, you know, lived there for over 10 years, and then this thing happened, so now I'm back here. It was a big shift in the sense that it's so hot here like all the time. I mean, New York is hot too in the summer, believe me. We have really hot, steamy summers, but we always have the fall to look forward to, and here it's like, you look forward to the beach, just running into the nearest pool or something. So there are physical things that you sort of have to get used to, and how people do things. But yeah, I mean, I miss what I miss about New York is the energy of people from all over the world. You know, you just step out of your place, and sometimes it's overwhelming. You know, it can also drive you crazy. I'm not saying that it's all wonderful, romantic. No,
New York state of mind.
It is a New York state of mind, but because I am a people person, it just happens to work for me. That it's a nice, you know, you just get this charge. You get a charge. You just get, you know, all of a sudden you feel like, oh, you know what? I've got to accomplish something with it because, you know, the world is moving. Yeah, the world is moving, and you just can't like sit there and twiddle your thumb. New York does that to you, but at the same time, because I am now over 60 years old, it's also kind of nice to like, oh yeah, just make siesta. It's too black, it's too early. Yeah, there's no hurry, you know. And so it's nice too. It's a nice change, and it's a welcome change.
So I assume that's what it is about Bacolod that you love, about being laid back and everything being 5 minutes away.
I love the people. I love the people. I've always, you know, and that's what made my husband fall in love with Bacolod also. You know? It's not that there are wonderful architecture here or great cultural plays or music, right? No, it's the people. You're coming here to be with the people because the people are very warm and loving and accepting and almost to a fault, but never mind, you know, if you're the recipient. Yeah, I
a sense of family.
Just a warm, you know, just a welcoming. Just a you're safe. They make you feel safe.
Yes.
And it's nice. It's a very, very unusual state of being, you know, and to be in a place like that. It's nice. I mean, I can't even say the same thing about Manila. I mean, you know, Manila is becoming dog eat dog now, so
the pollution is just
yeah, and also, you know, even if you meet people in Manila, you start to size them up, you know, people, just like in any other big city. But Bacolod isn't like that yet, so.
So, Tita, for the last question, I'm going to give you the floor to say something, anything that you want people to know about Balay or Daku Balay.
Well, I think, again, it's a very unique, special moment. And I'm glad that you said that you felt good energies. Because, this house has seen and heard a lot of things. This was the headquarters of the Japanese Imperial Army occupation during the war. And the story goes that we were very lucky that the Japanese general who was in charge and who lived here appreciated the house. He really liked the house. And so he gave very strict instructions to the soldiers that they could not trash the place. So, of course, after the war, it had to be cleaned up and everything, but structurally, they didn't trash the place. Like, they could have burned the house, or they could have burned some of the rooms, which they did in many of the colonial homes that the Japanese occupied. They had respect for the house, and as a matter of fact, supposedly because when grandfather had to evacuate, right, they were kicked out of their home, obviously, and the Japanese lived here, and they were in the mountains somewhere to evacuate. And that's when my grandfather had a stroke. And when the general heard that my grandfather was sick, he sent an army escort to bring him back to the city safely because he needed medical help. So, again, I think the house is saying it was protected.
There's a bigger force.
It was protected for some reason, So really, it was not as trashed as many of the homes, that were either destroyed by the guerrillas or destroyed by the Japanese or the Americans for that reason. Because after the war, then the Americans came and they occupied the house.
I get exactly what you mean. Because when I first entered the place, I felt a sense of security. Like, everything is so, I feel safe right here. So it must be the same energy that has protected this room for the past long years. So, Tita, thank you so much for giving us the time. And I really had a great time seeing this beautiful mansion.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So the Daku Balay wasn't just a home filled with love and happiness, but it is filled with creativity too. The same love, beauty, and sense of family that has nurtured it all throughout these years.